Again, remember, we are focusing today on understanding roles, teams, and permissions. So again, we will be starting with roles and where you fall in the hierarchy. We'll move into permissions to see what control you have. And then we'll get into the teams and try to decide for your agency, do you just need one team or do many teams make sense, and how that functionality works. So I'm going to jump over into the platform. Again, this is where we were going to spend the majority of our time today. In the admin panel, it is the very last icon on the left-hand side. If you were an organization admin or a team admin, you will have the ability to see the admin panel. If you are just a member or an ops viewer on your program, you will not see the admin panel. So today, first and foremost, we're going to start with roles. So I'm going to jump into the roles page, and I want to kind of explain each role, the hierarchy of those roles, and then we can talk about what those permissions for each role look like and how you customize those. So these 5 roles that you see here are the 5 default roles that are shipped with every single account. So these 5 roles are org administrator, team administrator, member, data owner, and ops viewer. So starting at the very top of the list, we are going to talk about the org administrator. So organization administrators, users with this role, have full system permissions, including the ability to view, create, edit, delete, archive, and associate assets, as well as update any organization level settings. If I click into this role, you can see the basic info here. We can very easily come in. If we need to update our description, we can. As we are adding additional members to this or adding additional teams, you will see these numbers increase. And then we can see the permission set around what this, the org admin role has, as well as who the org admins on this account are. Org admins should only, in my opinion, be people within your organization who are involved in the operations at the drone program level. These are people who are going to spend a lot of time in DroneSense, whether they are setting up maintenance and training or running operations hub or looking at the data. This should be the person in charge of your drone programs day to day. Not necessarily high-level officers or chiefs who, are over the department, over the team, but don't really participate in day-to-day operations. I would say that role is not for them. This is specific to people who are heavily involved in management and operations on the drone side of things. All these permissions here that you see are defaulted. I'm not going to go through them yet. Once we finish up with each role, then we'll jump into kind of what those permissions look like. But this is the highest role within the DroneSense platform. Jumping back to our main roles page here, the next role that I want to talk about is going to be the team administrator. Now, this is an optional role because the team's functionality within DroneSense is completely optional. We will talk more about the team's functionality once we actually get into teams, but understand that this is the next level in the hierarchy of roles within the platform. So team administrators can, at the team level, create, edit, view, delete, archive, and associate assets within their teams. This is not organization-wide. This, again, is just specifically to individual teams. And as we scroll down here, we get the same kind of set of permissions that we saw back on the admin side. And as we scroll all the way down to the bottom, we get into the members who share this role on the team. So again, we'll cover the team's functionality once we dive into teams a little bit more. But the next role, as far as the hierarchy goes and the roles and permissions within DroneSense, is going to be the member role. So these are anyone that you add at the organization or at the team level. So they can view, create, and edit, but they do not have the ability to archive or to delete anything from the account. They also don't have the ability to set different statuses within flights. And a lot of their management ability, as you can see as we scroll through, their permissions have been removed as well. So these are going to be your pilots, GIS personnel, anyone who needs access to the entire platform minus the administrative panel. So they're going to be able to look at all of the data. They're not going to be able to delete any of the data. They're not going to be able to archive any of the data, but they are going to be able to run reports, look at maintenance, set up training, and things like that. And you can see all of the members of this team here at the bottom as well. The next role is our data owner. And this is a default role that gets applied to every single person within DroneSense. This basically means that you will have the ability to view, create, and edit any asset or any piece of data that you have personally created within the system. Again, this is a default role that will be applied to every single person that you add to the DroneSense organization. Regardless of any additional roles, they will all by default get added as a data owner. The last role, again, the last default role within the organization and hierarchy of roles is going to be ops viewer. This is the lowest man on the totem pole. Persons that you set with just the ops viewer role will only have the ability to log in and view Operations Hub. They will not have access to any other pieces of the data, none of your flight logs, none of your training logs, none of your member profiles. They will simply only have the ability to log in and view Operations Hub. Now, that being said, as you are inviting new members into your account, you're going to want to apply multiple roles to them. For example, if you were going to add someone as a team administrator, you would want to add them as a team administrator, a member, and an ops viewer. Now, I'm hoping that we have some kind of overhaul where this trickles down, where if we set someone as a team administrator, they automatically get the lower roles applied to them. That is not the case today. So if we are going to invite an additional member to our account, we will need to set them as a member and an ops viewer. Remember, these are specifically the default roles and default permissions that ship with every single account that we set up here at DroneSense. And what I want to look at next specifically are going to be permissions. We'll start looking at the organization admin level, or really let's start at the member level. We'll look at our member level permissions. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click edit so that we can get into all of the permission sets. So starting up here at the top, you can see they can access the main dashboard page. And then with flights and missions tab, they have the ability at the member level to view, edit, or create flights, missions. And for those of you that are operating in Texas, your members will have the ability to view, edit, and create those Texas logs, which are specific to that 423 reporting. Moving from flights and missions, we get into the planning permissions. So at the planning level, members will have the ability to view, edit, and create NOTAMs and edit the NOTAM details as well. They will not have the ability to set archive status or essentially remove that NOTAM. From planning, we get into the teams and members permissions. So as you can see, they can view, edit, and create within teams and members as well. Again, they do not have the ability to manage those teams or to invite new members. So again, if they are going to be a team admin, you would want to change their permission and give them team admin permission as well as members. But this is the default member permissions. Scrolling down into training, they have the ability to view, edit, create training with hardware, whether it's drones, batteries, equipment, or sensors. they have the same set of permissions there where they can view, edit, and create. Moving into maintenance, same set of permissions there, view, edit, and create. And as we get into safety, more of the same. The last one being reporting, or excuse me, the next one being reporting, where they have the ability to utilize the CSV exports across the entire portion of the platform and everywhere that CSVs are available. And then we get into the resources or the catch-all section. They're going to have the ability to view, edit, and create on locations, documents, photos, and videos as well. Again, these are the default level permissions for all of your members, all personnel that you add as individual members. So jumping from the member permissions, we'll jump back to our roles page. And just real quickly, I want to show you the ops viewers permissions. So as you can see here, anyone with the ops viewer permission only assigned, the only thing they will have the ability to do is access Operations Hub. That is the only permission that this role has. So that means they cannot see all of these items will be here on the left-hand side, but they will all be grayed out and they will not have access. So essentially all a person with the Operations Hub or Ops Viewer permissions will be able to do is access Operations Hub, view missions, mission details, live streams, as well as telemetry, and all kind of the functionality that goes along with Operations Hub. They are not going to have the ability to edit hardware or to create new missions, but they will at least be able to log in, and once they've been taught the workflow, can access Operations Hub, view those live streams and that real-time telemetry. Now we're going to jump into kind of the team administrator role. So again, this all directly applies within teams that have access to this information. So as we start up at the top, you'll see as it relates to their teams, they're going to have the same ability as a member, but also will have that management functionality checked as well. As we go through each, you'll see that is the big piece when it comes to the member, or excuse me, when it comes to the team administrator role. They are given the ability to view, edit, create, and manage everything as it applies to their team. This does not mean org-wide. This only means what is specific to their individual teams. And again, we will talk about the teams functionality once we get into that part of the webinar. The last role we're going to look at, organization administrator, or, for lack of a better term, this is God mode. So you can see they have the ability to do everything that a team and a member and an ops viewer can do, but they also have the ability to revoke members, invite new members, can view and archive all active and inactive members, as well as pending invitations. It's essentially control of the organization. As we scroll down, you can see they can view all teams within the organization. They can create new teams and invite new and existing team members as admins. You can see they have the ability to view, edit, create, and manage new roles. They can archive the status of roles. They can edit and change the details and permissions within each role. And they also have the ability to view all the roles. So essentially, they have the same level of permissions as a team admin, except this applies across the entire organization. And they also have the ability to view this admin panel, where all this functionality is that we are looking at today. Now, again, understand that all of these roles are defaulted. There is nothing different with these 5 roles from account to account unless you have gone in and made specific changes to your organization. Now, understand that once you modify one of these roles, it will apply to every single member that has this role applied to their profile. Before we get into custom roles and modifying permissions, are there any questions based on these default roles and their default permissions? So if there's no questions, comments, concerns, improvements, we will move into looking at creating custom roles and custom permissions. So again, from the admin panel, we are under the roles tab. We're going to come add custom role. And we could call this one, we'll call this one pilot. And this is the role specific to personnel that will be completing flight ops. And then you see we have our long list of permissions that are here. Now this box in the right-hand corner, if we check that, that's going to check the boxes for every single tick box within a certain section. So yes, we want them to be able to view the dashboard. Maybe we want to give our pilots the ability to do everything when it comes to NOTAMs, view, edit, create, and manage. Maybe we want them to be able to view the teams and view the members, but we don't want them to be able to invite new members or create new teams. With training, maybe we'll say they can view training and create training, but we don't want them to be able to edit or manage. With hardware, I would say we want them to have the ability to do it all. When we get into maintenance, I would say that they should be able to maybe just view and perform maintenance. And we'll say edit on performance and records. With safety, we want them to be able to view incidents and maybe view the checklists, but we don't want them to be able to change anything. Maybe we'll give them the ability to manually create incidents and manually create checklists. Reporting, I'm not going to give them the ability to pull CSVs. We'll give them the ability to create and view locations, the ability to create and view docs, and the ability to create and view photos or videos, but that's all we're going to give them. Once I feel like I have the permissions in a state that I like, I'm going to come down to the very bottom and I'm going to create role. And now you see we have this new role within our organization that we have created. Now we obviously can come in, can edit the details of this role. If we want to modify it in any way, we can do that. Nothing I want to do here. The next step would be simply to just start adding members. And so as we're inviting personnel, we can start selecting new roles for them, specifically with this pilot role. So right now you can see it's not applied to any teams. There are no teams that have this role applied. There are no members that have this role applied. You can customize as many different roles as you see fit within your organization. If you want to modify the default 5, you can do that as well. Kind of, no right or wrong way when it comes to roles, and as many custom roles as you want to create. You could even go so far as to create a specific role for one specific person within your organization. There is no right or wrong when it comes to roles and how you set those permissions. Before we jump over and start looking at everything that the Teams functionality encompasses, I want to pause here for a few minutes and let's have a discussion. Let's answer any questions around roles and permissions. Is there anything you think that we could be doing better? Any enhancements to this functionality that you would like to see? Comments, concerns? We're going to open it up for just a couple minutes here. And yes, this is a great piece of information from our Fortress support team. Do not remove yourself from the admin role if you want to be able to make changes. If you start removing yourself or removing personnel from roles without a deep understanding of what you're doing, you can start breaking a lot within your account that we will then have to go in on our side in the back end and make repairs to. Yes, please do not remove yourself or any of your personnel from roles unless you have a good understanding of what you are doing or attempting to do. Great piece of advice there, Gabe. I would like to roll us into the teams discussion now. So I'm going to jump in here and I'm going to go to the team section. What I want you all to understand right now, the team's functionality is completely optional. Every single account that we create will ship with one kind of organization level team. So as you can see here, if I come to the dashboard, this is the DS South account. So if I come into either the members and teams section or into the admin panel and get into teams, you'll see I have one team listed here, and that is DroneSense South or DS South. Please, please, please never come in and archive your main team, your organization level team. That will cause a ton of problems that only we on the DroneSense side can fix for you. When we start talking about adding additional teams, just remember this is all completely optional, but the team's functionality is essentially going to give us the ability to further cordon off who has access to what, who can see and do what within the account. So let me give you a couple of examples of where we see the team's functionality. First example I want to discuss is the town of Cary in North Carolina. Rather than the police department purchase DroneSense and have an account, and the fire department purchase DroneSense and have an account, the town of Cary purchased DroneSense as a municipality. So there is an organization account for the town of Cary. What they have gone in and done is created 3 specific teams. There is a team specific for the fire department, a team specific for the police department, and then another team specifically for public works. Now, creating these 3 teams gives us the ability to kind of cordon off and control who can see and do what within the account. So, for example, at the missions level, we can create missions that are specific to individual teams that no other team within that organization will have access to, except for members of that team. Now, beyond kind of the town of Cary's approach, we also see larger municipalities, larger state and federal organizations utilizing the team's functionality as well. So maybe your agency, they have a drone program, but there are kind of different facets. Maybe you have a SWAT team or a tactical team within your organization that you want to create a team for. Maybe you have a special operations group that you want to create a team for. Maybe there's a traffic enforcement team, emergency operations team. You can get as in the weeds with your team's functionality as you want, but again, it is completely optional. And so I kind of want to show you what that team's functionality looks like. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click Add New Team. And we will call this one Special Ops. My phone number is a point of contact. I will also be the point of contact. I'm going to add myself as the team administrator. I can also, if I wanted to, so you see we have 2 options here. I can add current org members as team administrators, or I can also even go so far as to invite new members to come and join as team admins. So if I click invite team admins, this is going to pull up something similar to what you see when you invite a new user. First name, last name, email address, and their roles. You see right now they've been selected as an ops viewer, team administrator. I would also give them the member role as well. And then we would confirm, and that would send out an invite eerily similar to the invite you got when you first set up your account and were invited. But once I have a team admin and all these fields filled in, I'm going to click Create Team. And now you'll see we have this special ops team. I see this blue pill as I am logged in because I am the team admin for this special ops team as well. Depending on how you have your permissions set, personnel who are not a member of this team will not even see that this team exists. So let's expand on the team's functionality. We've created this special ops team. I'm going to click in it and I'm going to come down, manage team, and I'm going to add another member. I am going to add Alex Armstrong, and I'm just going to confirm. Because Alex is already a member of this organization, you'll see he's automatically added to the team. I'm going to change his roles to be just a member. Now you see he is an ops viewer and a member within this team. You would see any pending member invites from this page, any team alerts. We could also, if we had a specific location where this team was assigned, we could add that as well. So now we have two teams listed on our account. We have our main kind of organizational team, and then we have this special ops team. So where does this functionality come into play? And there's a lot of places. So first and foremost, we're going to go into Operations Hub, and we're going to create a new mission. Create a new mission, and we're going to call this Special Ops. Just like our Special Ops team, I'm going to kick this one out for a year. And this is a mission created for Spec Ops plants. Team permissions, I am only going to give access to this mission to Special Ops. We can come in, we can set up sharing if we want, we can set up notifications if we want. I'm going to do my sharing, make that enabled, and I'm going to have notifications enabled. And I want, as the special ops kind of head, I want to be notified anytime any of my team members, so currently just Alex, anytime he joins this mission, and I want it to be anytime he joins the mission at camera broadcast instead of takeoff. I'll click create. And now you'll see here, if I come back in, we don't see this special ops flight. But if I come up here and I change my team to just special ops and apply, if I refresh, we now can see, because I've just selected my team, I can see that special ops mission. Only personnel who are either org admin, team admin for special ops, or members on the special ops account will even see that this mission exists. So this is a way that we can go out and complete operations that maybe the rest of our organization doesn't need to be aware of. So this is one place that kind of the team's functionality applies. But let's say we wanted to have a joint mission where both, our entire organization as well as our spec ops team have access to. We could either create a new mission, or for me, what I'm just going to come in and do is edit this specific mission and give access to DS South or my entire org at this point. Does that, I'm hoping that makes sense to everybody so far, understanding that missions can be specific to teams or they can be specific to the organization. You can give multiple teams access to one mission. You can make missions for individual teams. You can make missions for individual sets of teams. Maybe you want your SWAT team and special ops to have access to a specific mission. You have that functionality as well. And again, flights generated under that spec ops mission will only be visible to members of that team and organization level administrators. Now, what does that open up once we have started creating missions and flight logs and assigning specific assets to teams? That just means that all of that data is only visible to specific personnel that have access to that team or our organization administrators. Again, this functionality is completely optional. There is, there are many strong use cases for and against utilizing Teams. Another way that we have seen kind of the Teams functionality rolled out for large county EMAs that might be footing the bill for UAS teams and programs within their county, but want to kind of have overreaching control of those, they would have an EMA level organization and then create specific teams for each agency under that organization. So again, at the county EMA level, the EMA is the controlling agency, and maybe we have 5 different law enforcement agencies, 3 different fire departments, 2 different EMS companies, whatever the case may be. Each one of those can have a team created for them where they kind of have their own sandbox in which they can monitor their specific equipment, their specific missions, their specific flights, training, maintenance, etc. But at the organization level, those org admins can go in and see across the entire program. So there's a lot of ways in which the Teams functionality can be utilized. It's just up to you and your programs to decide at the organization level if this is functionality that you need. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to come into this special ops mission and I'm going to archive it. And then I'm going to come in to our teams and I'm going to come into this special ops team and I'm going to go ahead and archive it as well. So now we bounce back to teams. We're kind of back to square one. Any data that we may have generated under that additional team will still reflect at the organization level data, but now it's kind of removed from day-to-day operations. It's the same way that we archive flights, the same way that we archive hardware, archive missions. We don't ever want to delete anything because we always want that historically accurate data picture of our organization as a whole. So that's where kind of the archive functionality comes in. And now you can see, those teams are no longer listed here in the members and teams section. It's no longer listed under the admin panel teams. And if we come back into Operations Hub, you'll see that that Spec Ops mission is now gone as well. I'm going to pause again and open it up to you guys. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? Again, I know this isn't the most exciting piece of the platform, but this, from a program management standpoint, I think this is incredibly valuable and incredibly important to have some kind of understanding around. Are any of you guys applying? That's a great question for the call. Out of all of you that are on the call, are there any of you that are utilizing the Teams functionality today? Chief Cruz, Chance, I'm looking at you guys. Are any of you guys putting the Teams functionality into practice within your organizations today?
Can you hear me, Josh?
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's Chance. Hey, our agency is pretty small. We only have like 20 pilots. So we have an Alpha and Bravo team, and we have 2 lead pilots. So we split them into Alpha and Bravo teams. But we also have a mother team, which is Allen PD. And everybody's on Allen PD, but they're also spread out on our Alpha and Bravo team. Our assistant team leaders can also affect their team. So Alpha team, assistant leader, and then our coordinator and our 2 lead pilots can do everything on any of them. So I don't think our agency's as big to take full advantage of this, but we're trying to use it just as we grow. We're already kind of using the functionality of it. But I did like how you talked about having the FD to add them onto ours instead of them getting a separate account, essentially. So if we ever get them on board, that would be I like that idea.
Yeah, then you can share the budget, and then there can be missions that are created specifically for fire operations, missions specifically for PD, SWAT, whatever the case may be, operations, and then we can go in and we can create a mutual aid mission where both agencies have access. This is when we're working together. This is when shit hits the fan.
Exactly.
I think that's great. I like that. Even for a small agency, I think that's a really good use case that you guys are applying with the Alpha Bravo teams. Anybody else on the call have any input on how they're utilizing Teams today? Leon, is that something you guys have looked into with Forsyth Fire, or are you still kind of, I know you guys are still kind of not a small program, but is this functionality you guys have considered?
No, our program is way too small. We only have 5 pilots right now, and
Okay.
we're very specific, just our fire part.
Okay. Again, guys, completely optional functionality here. Just curious. Chief Cruz, is this something you guys up at Monarch are utilizing yet?
We're taking a good look at it right now. Obviously, everybody that's a member of our organization falls under, I'm going to call it the Monarch team. But we're looking at partnering with some of our surrounding municipalities that are also a DroneSense account.
Yeah.
Of putting them on a separate team. So when we want to give them access to our data or to fly out our missions, that's probably how we're going to achieve that.
Excellent. Yeah, I think the Teams functionality is also a great way to integrate with those other local agencies who maybe they're not a DroneSense customer, but maybe you guys can assist in footing the bill to bring an additional aircraft on board for them and kind of ease them into the DroneSense kind of environment and into the DroneSense family that way. Just something to consider with that Teams functionality. All right. I know we have a couple of feature requests that are in the queue right now, specifically to be able to filter data, not only by the team, but also by the individual team member. So this is something that's kind of getting put through our triage process right now, and will get prioritized at some point. We are always iterating. That is the biggest thing. And all of our iterations are based on feedback that we get from meetings and calls like this. So, maybe not today, but as we're going through it, these working groups, if there's things that you think could be better on the platform, you don't hesitate to speak up, because the only way they get better is by your feedback. There's only so much that myself and my team can uncover and request to change without hearing, what you guys like, what you guys don't like. I really appreciate you all joining me this week. I hope that you can all make it back next week for working group. Same time, same great place. We will have this video live on YouTube, hopefully by next week. If you guys come up with any questions, comments, concerns between now and then, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or the rest of my team. For those of you on shift, please stay safe, and you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers, everybody.